Hey guys, with Omega Sports. This is the Omega Sports Show. We are live. I'm streaming here from our offices, our studio office, if you will, over in Morrisville, Virginia, and get my hat straight here. We've got a great show for you today. We've got Chris Kepko from Paddle Tech. He's also our new Pickleball Omega Sports Ambassador, and we'll talk a little bit more with him today about what does that really mean. As you guys know, at Omega Sports, we are so excited about the sport of pickleball. We've been talking about it forever. We're taking it serious. We're doubling down. We're bringing in experts, and today I can't wait for you to meet Chris and to hear all about pickleball and why pickleball is so exciting, not only to Omega Sports, but to all of you, because you guys are out there playing it and asking for more. So we're going to give you more. It is, of course, Labor Day weekend, and we are excited to have our big Labor Day sale. I'm not going to go into a lot of details because you got to check your emails. If you're an email customer of Omega Sports, then you know you've got some major savings this weekend for Labor Day. It starts today. And actually, you know what? We added an extra day. So it's going to go all the way till Tuesday. Make sure you check your email and find out what is on sale or what offers are available to you this weekend, starting today. I also wanted to do something new for the show, and I wanted to do what we normally do in email, which is an In Case You Missed It segment. So in case you missed it, we had quite the riveting show last week with two fantastic mega wellness experts. In one corner, we had Dr. Clay Sankey, our tried and true wellness expert. He's been with us from the start. Of course, he is with True Motion Therapy. And in another corner, we had Dr. Scott Jablanca with Carolina Movement Doc. And of course, you guys know he's also the host of our Omega Sports Move More podcast. And I threw out a really fun question, or at least I thought it was going to be a fun question, but you guys have to hear it for yourself. If you missed the show last week, I need you to hear from a chiropractor to a physical therapist. Is there beef between the two? So let's see what happened on last week's show. So I'm gonna throw out, this isn't on my list, by the way, as a question, but I just want to throw out this kind of fun little jab here. I got a chiropractor all the way to the right, or all the way over. I've got a physical therapist in the middle. What kind of beef do you guys really have?
Why don't you go first, Clay? Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll go first. Del, you sent over some questions for us to answer that some of the viewers submitted in. And I'm reading through these questions and thinking about how I'm going to answer them. And, I know Scott. And I'm thinking in my head, like, yeah, Scott's going to answer the same way I'm going to answer this. Like, I know he's going to say this, and I'm going to, say the same thing. So that beef exists out there between chiropractors and physical therapists. I think probably on the fringes of our profession, but in the mainstream, I don't know if it really does. And I don't know what the public's persona is, but I don't have any beef with most physical therapists. I do with some, but I also have beef with some chiropractors. It's just the way that they practice, I would say. As long as you're getting people better and treating them in an ethical manner, have at it. PT,
there's a comment.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah, there's a comment. You can't see it, but they want you to spill the tea. With who? Who do you have a beef with?
We'll never go down that
road. So Scott, is that the same for you? Obviously, right?
Honestly, it's 100%. And as I kind of self-dubbed my profession and lumped it in with chiropractors, even massage therapists and athletic trainers. We kind of should rebrand ourselves as movement specialists as opposed to just separate PTs, chiros. And I actually made a post about this probably last year that says, I'm injured. Who do I see? A PT, a chiro? My answer is yes, go see somebody. The reason being is, and I asked a lot of individuals, and one of my buddies who's a teacher up in Seneca Falls in New York at the chiropractic college, I asked them, can you send me your course syllabus? I want to see what kind of courses you take. And obviously there are courses that we as therapists, we didn't take, but you wouldn't believe the amount of overlap as far as education and experience. Chiros, at least coming out of school, definitely more hands-on, hugely more hands-on. But as we develop more experience and even personally, when I first met Clay, Dr. Clay Sankey, just talking for 5 minutes, I knew that we were on the same page. 100%. Whatever gets people moving, gets people better, and out of pain, without surgery, without drugs, and unnecessary tests and measures and doctor's visits. I think we all win. And as far as, are we competitors? I'd say no. I don't think we're competitors. I think we're playing for the same team. We're just helping people get better. So as far as we are concerned, I think there are so many clients and so many athletes to go around that I don't think there's enough of us, to be honest with you. So I have zero beef with chiropractors, even massage therapists too. So that beef exists only in the eyes of the public, and I think it's kind of misled a little bit.
All right, cancel the ad with the showdown that I was going to run after this. All right, so there is no, obviously they weren't going to spill the tea and tell us all the beef, but anyways, that was a great segment of a fantastic show with two really, really great wellness experts. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I did a quick little look back. You guys can go onto our YouTube channel and of course Facebook. We are still compiling some really great notes for you guys on our Play More channel. Don't worry, it's coming out. We're going to go ahead and put a lot of good information, both from Dr. Clay Sankey from True Motion Therapy and Dr. Scott Jablanca from Carolina Movement Doc. That show's got a lot of good information. We answered a lot of great questions, so it's just taking a few extra days to get all that put together. But you can certainly go to playmore.omegasports.com for all of our content, from podcasts to shows to just wonderful, helpful advice from wellness experts and blogs. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the actual show. I want to say hi, Cleo. Cleo's watching. Hopefully she's in her office with her big screen that I just recently was able to peep out in her office the other day. So hopefully I'm on a big screen, and hopefully my face doesn't get frozen on that big screen, because that'll be embarrassing in the office. Anyways, so we've talked about pickleball. We've got a fantastic new ambassador that's joined Omega Sports, Chris Kepko. We're going to introduce him in a second, but I want to get you guys hyped up. And along with being the Omega Sports Pickleball Ambassador, Chris is also a representative of a wonderful premier brand called PaddleTech. So I wanted to get everyone hyped up for our conversation, our in-depth conversation on pickleball, by playing a little PaddleTech video. All right. Well, once again, Chris, I want to just officially welcome you. And before I let you speak, I just want to say Omega Sports, myself, and all of the active play experts had a ball shooting that video. Yeah. I mean, I had to get an extra workout. So I got the medicine ball and started throwing it around.
Perfect. You look good on there.
Yeah. It was for free. We just wanted to let you guys into our world a little bit and show you how serious we are about pickleball. Well, we'll talk about PaddleTech in a second. But first, Chris, first of all, I just want to officially welcome you to the Omega Sports family. We've been trying to get you on our show for a while. We've been trying to really rev up you as our pickleball ambassador. You've been doing a lot of things behind the scenes to really beef up pickleball at Omega Sports. But now we can officially say, welcome to our ambassadorship.
I appreciate it, Dell. Happy to be here, and look forward to being part of the great team.
Yeah. Well, of course, any starting point for an ambassador is we got to get to know you a little bit, Chris. So I'd love to talk about, let everyone know, where you come from. Are you from North Carolina? Give us a little bit of your background.
So I actually grew up in Greensboro, played multi-sports growing up, baseball, basketball, football. I actually bought my first set of cleats at Omega Sports probably in the mid-'80s. So that's my roots.
Prerequisite for all ambassadors, by the way. You have to grow up in our headquarters city. You have to have purchased your first pair of cleats at Omega Sports.
Yep. So yeah, and Omega Sports was the it's still are today, a local sporting goods store that we bought everything at. Helmets. I remember as a kid going to Omega Sports and couldn't wait to get my cleats for baseball and football. And so yeah, from Greensboro originally, and joined the Navy in '95.
Yep, and of course you've been serving our country for quite some time. And then as you've been obviously in service, you've been keeping up with staying fit and active in sports as a kid all the way through to an adult. Why do you think sports has been so important in your life?
It was the competition. As a kid, I just absolutely loved playing. I was the best athlete, But football, you put a ball or a bat in my hand or anything like that, and it was go time. You know what I mean? I was ready to go, and I think that drive led me to doing what I do in the Navy, special operations.
Yeah.
So I think that, and physical activity has been a part of my life, my career since day one in the Navy. So it kind of just transitions well from sports to doing what I did, to now, playing pickleball of all things.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting transition, serving our country, being in special ops, and then going into pickleball. And before I let anyone get confused, you don't have to be a Navy special ops, trained, specimen to be able to play pickleball. I don't want to set people up for failure here.
Absolutely not. It's any age, any skill level. I've seen them all. I've seen 8 to 85 playing. So by no means do you have to be an elite athlete to play pickleball.
Yeah, but it sure helps. I mean, I know you got into the sport, and obviously some of your background in sports and being an athlete and some of the additional conditioning you've done in your professional life has probably paid off a lot. But really, it's about that touch, and we'll talk about that. So let's talk in general right now, Chris. So what is pickleball for anyone they've been hearing me say it for a while? They probably think I sound funny saying pickleball. I've accidentally called it a racket one time, and the whole pickleball community turned against me for a second.
It's a paddle.
It's not a racket; it's a paddle, and I absolutely learned my lesson, and I will never use that term again. But tell everyone, what is pickleball, if you can, if it's something that you can share easily with us.
So the best way I've heard it explained is a cross between badminton, table tennis, and tennis. So I like to say you're playing ping pong, but standing on top of the table. Is kind of a good way to describe it. You have a paddle and a ball. It's actually a wiffle ball, a hard wiffle ball, and you play pickleball on the court the same dimensions as a badminton court.
Yep, that's what I say. I always say it's like ping pong, but like real life ping pong.
Yeah, you're standing on top of the. Imagine you're standing on top of the table.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people assume that this is a natural transition if you play tennis, which is maybe true, maybe not. But it also is not a prerequisite. You don't have to be a great tennis player to be able to play pickleball.
Absolutely not. We see a lot of people, especially as they get older, transitioning from tennis into pickleball because it's not as hard on the body. The hand-eye coordination is very similar, but almost any sporting background you have, whether it be baseball, ping pong, is going to relate to pickleball. Just tennis players is a little easier transition just because of their background.
Right. Although I will tell you, not that I'm a great tennis player, it was a little, you do have to have a little bit more finesse because you can't really power that ball across it because your opponents will get tired of chasing the ball in the court, third court down the way there.
And the paddle's a little bit shorter. See a lot of tennis players missing the ball because they're wondering where the rest of their racket is.
Yeah, that took a few games to get that straight. Yeah. All right, so Chris, so what got you into pickleball? How did that even happen? I mean, again, not to put you on this, make any assumptions, but Navy special ops, athlete, a lifelong athlete. How in the world did you end up at pickleball?
So I avid golfer my whole life, ever since I was 12. And then back in the past couple of years, I played 6-7 times a week. I just absolutely was in love with golf. I always have been. The club that I was a member at built 3 or 6 pickleball courts. So they got done, and that afternoon I went out there and hit the ball around and absolutely just got addicted. And I don't know, everybody asks me why, and I think it's, just being the age that I am and having a competitive sport and something new. I was a pretty good golfer, and going to a new sport that I was brand new in, it actually just, absolutely engulfed me, and I just, from that day on, I think I've played golf 10 times since, and that's almost 2 years ago. That's how much I've, I fell in love with it. And then to the point where I was playing 2 to 3 times a week, just anywhere I could find a game, anywhere I could go, just going out there playing with anybody, just absolutely loved it. And I think it was a competition, being at my age and just how much I love sports. It was a natural transition to, into pickleball.
Yeah, I will say that is one thing that we learned at Omega. We were introduced to pickleball through Ricky Prohl over at Prolific Park. Yep. We had all of our managers there. We were doing kind of an off-site management meeting, and we thought, hey, it'd be fun to do a pickleball tournament because, of course, they're very big into pickleball. And I know you're a big fan over at Prolific Park. I think you've actually won a couple of the tournaments over there, and you've partnered with some great folks over there.
Yep.
But it becomes addicting. Like once you really get into the game and you realize that that it's challenging, but it's also like you want your brain to learn the game because there's just something very addictive about it. And of course, we saw that explode because that was 2 years ago. And then we saw it really explode during COVID when people needed to get out and start moving or to keep moving. Pickleball became a huge opportunity for folks to discover a new sport, stay competitive, keep moving, and have fun.
Absolutely. And it's not, the other thing too, it's not a very expensive game. Once you buy a couple balls and a paddle, you're set for a while. So I think that's the other draw to it too. And most courts are public. So you can, call up a friend or even take out your wife or husband or whatever and go hit the ball around.
Yeah. And I think it's important. I know this is going to be a question that comes up later on because we are going to answer some of our customer questions because as we continue to keep talking about pickleball, we have a lot of customers that continue to ask us questions. So my team and I decided to go ahead and curate a couple of those questions to ask you. But let's also be careful. Like, we don't want people to assume you can just play pickleball on a tennis court. Like, it's not the same exact court.
Not at all. Not at all. You actually can fit 2 pickleball courts on a tennis court. So you'll see a lot of places, a lot of tennis courts that are transitioning and putting lines down and using temporary nets because it's a completely different height of net, different length, etc. You could go on a tennis court and just sit around for the fun of it, but the lines are nowhere near the same.
Yeah. And for folks, that really want to get into the nerdiness of the game, where did pickleball start? And does it have anything to do with a pickle?
So actually 1965, right outside of Seattle, Washington, there was a couple of buddies. One was a congressman and one was a successful businessman. They played golf, right? They got done playing golf. They went back to the house and their family was sitting around with nothing to do. They're bored. So the 2 men get home from golf and like, well, how can we entertain our family? So they had a badminton court set up in their backyard. So they got the family out back, the rummage around trying to find a badminton racket and some shuttlecocks or birdies, and they couldn't find it. So they actually went and found ping pong paddles and a wiffle ball. Wow. And they started by volleying the ball over the net. I think it was 60 inches, I believe, was a badminton net. So they did that for a day or two. Then finally, at the end of the weekend, they said, well, let's try lowering the net on the ground. And then they realized how well the ball bounced on asphalt. Hence, the game of pickleball was invented a weekend in 1965.
I love it. And I love the origin of that story because it's really about families just wanting to play outside, just get out there, move, have some fun, get creative. I'm sure there may have been a few cocktails in the mix, as they were creating things. And then it turned into like, okay, let's put some rules around it and let's put a game and a competitiveness. And then I'm sure they invited friends over and taught them. And then it started spreading, that kind of grassroots efforts. By that point, the game had gotten contagious and everyone was playing it.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the hardest things they had was trying to figure out the name of the game. And if you read, there's actually conflicting stories about, how the game was, named. One story is named after the dog. Like they had a dog named Pickles that kept grabbing the ball.
I've heard that story. Yeah.
Yep. So if you actually do a little bit of research, the owners of the dog said they didn't get the dog until 2 years after the game was invented. So that story was never true. It actually was named after pickle boat. So back during for crew, like rowing teams in college, the guys that didn't make the team, they would stick them, that didn't make a boat, they would stick them in their own boat and they would call it the pickle boat. So the wife of the congressman actually said, well, it's kind of like pickle boat because they're just throwing all these things together into one boat. So that's how, pickleball was, the name of it was invented.
See, now we got to have a pickleball trivia night at a brewery.
I'm in.
Have a little pickleball in the parking lot, have a few brewery drinks, and do some trivia. I love that. If you guys saw, there was a question or a statement, I should say, from Cleo. Of course, everyone knows Cleo is our head of apparel and our host of the Women's Only podcast that Omega Sports has. She says, I'm seeing the young adults playing seeing that young adults are playing as well, which is great to see. I think that's a real big, great statement that she just made there because, Chris, one of the things that we saw was there's like really no age, like defined age group. I know that I've been over at Prolific Park, and I'm going to keep saying Prolific Park. I know there are plenty of parks out there. I know there are plenty of communities. Wilmington's got a huge pickleball community. And of course, we're in Wilmington as well. But I'm going to keep saying Prolific Park because I got to witness it firsthand. It's where I became a fan of pickleball. And I mean, I saw the silver sneakers, I think they're called, playing. I saw guys your age, I saw young folks playing and everyone just having a ball, and the competition level was on par.
Yeah, it's what I tell everybody, perfect example is that I've been teaching beginners clinics now since I think February, March timeframe. And when I first started doing clinics, and this is just in the past 6 to 8-10 months, when I first started doing clinics, the average age was probably 65 to 70. As the months have gone by, now I'm saying the average age is probably the higher 40s. And I've had some kids that are 16, 20 years old. And it's a great thing for a parent and their child to do, which I see all the time. Dad and his 20-year-old daughter come out into a clinic last week. So there absolutely is, different groups, different ages, and everybody's playing it. I think it's absolutely just exploding.
Yeah, I know we don't have Craig or Kristen Carlock, our owners, on the show, but I will tell you, they are co-signing on that. They have seen it. They both in their families. It's a great thing to go out and vacation, and everyone gets to play. Everyone gets a paddle. We've seen it in our stores. Our active play experts are constantly talking about it's the one sport that you can buy for dad or buy for mom and play with them. Like it's like around Father's Day and Mother's Day, pickleball. Our paddles, the balls, the gear, the accessories, all the stuff that we've now started to carry has really become a gift item for just, give it to a parent, give it to a grandparent even, give it to a sister or a brother and have everyone in the family join in. I remember being at a tennis event in Wilmington, and the young couple that had to be in their early 20s came in, and they just continued to keep talking about pickleball and how they were having this pickleball family tournament that weekend.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. And that's a great thing about Omega. It's being a local store and having that knowledge internal, because you can go to Dick's Sporting Goods, you can go to these other, but they don't have there's nobody there talking about paddles. They just have a couple paddles sitting on the shelf, and with nobody around that knows anything. And then we, go to Omega, and then we have, multiple paddles, and then, they know what they're talking about. So It's great to have that local expertise in an area that we can talk about it, in different aspects, whether it be the show or just in the store.
Yeah. And on the screen right now, we've got a link that says omegasports.com/sport pickleball. Now, I know you had given us some information of, a great resource for folks that want to learn more about the sport of pickleball. Do you want to talk about that site?
So we have multiple different ones. I would tell you, I was off Facebook for years just because social media just wasn't. But being part of pickleball, so much of it is on social media. Mm-hmm. So, in the state of North Carolina, one of your best avenues is North Carolina Pickleball Facebook page. If you're in the Piedmont Triad area, Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Burlington, I started the Piedmont Triad Pickleball page about a year and a half ago, about 700 members. I started because when I first started playing pickleball, I was like, how do I find out where to go play? I didn't have anybody else that I played with, and I was just like, where do I go? How do I find people to play with? So me and a couple other people started this Facebook page, literally just to link up with other people. So we use it primarily for, hey, who's playing here at this time? Hey, I'm looking for this skill level. And it's a great way to communicate just for basic pickleball stuff in the area. And they're all over the place. If you're going to travel to go play in Wilmington, or play in Charlotte, Charlotte Pickleball, they have a Facebook page. You go to Raleigh, Durham, they have, Facebook pickleball pages. And it's just a matter of going in there and asking somebody, hey, where do I go play? And that's one of the great parts about the sport. It is so social and opening and warm. And you post, and within 5 to 10 minutes, hey, we're playing here tonight at 5 o'clock, or tomorrow morning here at 8 o'clock. So there's all kind of avenues. Facebook is by far, one of the best ways to find places to play and information about it.
Yep, that's why we do our show on Facebook.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think you made another great point. Like, it is such a social game, and it's welcoming to, and it's inclusive to all demographics, all age groups. I think that's what I love about it. And then, of course, I'm going to keep referring to, 2020, when the world seemingly shut down, and folks did not shut down. They wanted to continue to get out there, and they still wanted to be social, and they needed to find a way to keep some distance, keep the game going, keep the competitiveness going, keep the movement going. And obviously we saw a surge in tennis. And then, of course, it felt like, I know for, passionate pickleball players, you guys have been, you've been on it for a while, but it seemed like the world just kind of discovered pickleball within the last couple of years. And by the way, the world also includes Omega Sports. And so we're super grateful to be able to work with experts like yourself. You mentioned having a neighborhood sports store where we have experts that can talk about the game. I will tell you that, you know, almost every meeting that we have, when we collectively have all of our teams, we're always talking about, like, we need to have a pickleball competition. Like, we need to have a social kind of friendly game, but also to continue to keep building up our skills. And of course, you being our pickleball ambassador and a representative of one of the most premier brands, PaddleTech, we love to be able to work with you and develop those skills, which of course you've already been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's one of the great things why I got into teaching, and it's just spreading the game of pickleball and you know, seeing the people's faces when they enjoy it as much as, you know, I remember the first time I played, you know, and seeing that joy. And every beginner's clinic I have is just the laughter is just nonstop, whether it be you're hitting your husband in the chest, or, you know, or you did a weird shot or something like that. It's just, and again, like I said, you can have an 80-year-old person on the court and a 10-year-old, and, you know, it's just that mesh is going to be there just because of the nature of the game.
Yeah. And I just want to take a pause here because I want to get people caught up. So you're an elite, you know, Navy special ops, you know, professional that was a golfer and athlete for your whole life. And
Yep.
then you fell in love with pickleball to the point where you started a private Facebook group. You started helping people become fans of pickleball and helping them start winning tournaments as well, because you're helping them learn and get better. And it's now a major part of your life. The reason that you are a PaddleTech representative is because you wanted that great paddle in the state of North Carolina. Is that not true?
Absolutely. So I started playing with PaddleTech even before I, you know, signed on with PaddleTech. I bought one of I tried every brand, right? And, you know, every brand has a, you know, what they love and what they don't love, and I've tried them all, you know. And then when I finally got the PaddleTech, absolutely loved it. Actually contacted PaddleTech about becoming an ambassador for them. So, yep, I became ambassador. Hey, here's a code for 5% off, you know, and I'd go to the courts with my demo paddles. Hey, try this. And if you want one, here's a card. Go online, buy it, 5% off. So I did. I sold about 45 paddles in 3 months. And PaddleTech contacted me. Hey, do you want to become a sales rep for the region? And I was absolutely. And, you know, that's how I got linked up with, you know, yourself and Mark and in the store and several other places across the state. And it's just absolutely grown from there. You know, it's just, I've turned it into a post-military, almost, you know, full-time job. You know, it's hard to call it a job. I love it so much, but, you know, almost my whole day is dedicated to pickleball, and whether it be tournaments or clinics or, you know, this type of stuff or orders for, you know, PaddleTech. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride very quickly, you know, but I have put a lot, you know, it's just a lot of time, you know. Just when I go full into something, you know, my wife, to her despair, is like, you're a crackhead, you know. You go in here and just nonstop and just, you can't think about anything else. And I've been doing it now for about 2 years.
I love it. I love it for so many reasons. Number one, we need to just say thank you for your service and all that you've done for our country. And I just want to just exemplify the fact that, you know, getting out of something you've been doing and dedicating your life and putting your life on the line for so many years, and having your family and all the sacrifices that they've made to be able to transition into something that you're just as passionate about is truly a blessing. And I think that is amazing, because coming from Virginia, where I grew up in a military town, I know that transition from military life to civilian life is not always an easy transition. And I applaud you, because you just you just leaned right into your passion about a sport that is just tremendously growing, and you're on the front end of it. I mean, that's just something to applaud.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about PaddleTech. So Why did PaddleTech, now again, we carry all the brands. So as an Omega Sports Ambassador, you're not partial, but we're also not dumb. We know that we selected you because we know that PaddleTech is a premier brand, and we want to be working with premier brands and have a variety of choices for players as they continue to keep growing their pickleball aptitude, if you will. But why did PaddleTech really kind of capture your attention so much so that you said, you know what, I think I can make a career out of this, or I can turn this into a full-time thing for myself?
Well, it's, you know, it's almost like it's like a golf club. You know, I kind of relate to that. You know, what's so great about a certain golf club? Well, to be honest with you, when you put it in your hand, is what it looks like and how it feels.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to a paddle, is there one that's better than the other? No. You know, I'd be naive to say that. You know, there's so many great paddles out there, so many great companies. I just chose personally to go with Paddletech, and you know, when the first time I hit it, just absolutely fell in love with it. Just the touch of it, how the ball came off the paddle, absolutely loved it. And then on top of it's one of the few companies left that's 100% made in the USA.
Yeah.
Right. So the company's based out of Niles, Michigan. Two brothers started it back in 2010, 2011. You know, and all the paddles are made in a warehouse in Michigan. So, you know, the technology that we have is you know, it's front running when it comes to technology. Almost about 80% of paddles out there have some form of our technology in it now. We also make Prince paddles as well, which I know a lot of people don't know that. But so Paddletech actually Prince is a subsidiary of Paddletech, so we make Prince paddles as well. So it's one of the top paddles. You know, and everybody says they're the top. You know, and there's a couple different brands out there, but it's whatever you're comfortable with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and we do stand behind our product. You know, if the edge guard becomes loose or something like that, I'll send it back and I'll send a brand new one back free of charge. So we do stand behind our work, and like I said, 100% made in the USA is also a huge factor for me as well.
Absolutely. Well, and I do want to just kind of go backwards a little bit. Like, I think that's an important point that you make, because I have to say you are the reason that Paddletech is now in Omega Sports, because we were slowly trying to get into pickleball. And of course, when you get into pickleball, you need to have paddles. We have deep relationships with a lot of brands that were also getting into pickleball as well. So we got paddles from there, but we really didn't know that there was, many differences out there until we met you. And I think what you really kind of honed in on for us is that Paddletech is really they've perfected their processes, and they're doing it in America. And yes, they do it for other things as well. But when they started putting their own brand out there, I think that's what was really exciting for us, that we could work directly with you, with Paddletech, and really put in the hands of the players a premier product, which is what, of course, Omega Sports, we're known for that. We're known for, sifting through all of the opportunities that are out there, because we get hit up by products all the time, and we really try to lean into only the best ones that we also can have deep relationships with. And you brought that to the table. I know when you met Mark was on fire. He kept talking about Paddletech, and I honestly had to Google Paddletech, and I hadn't heard of it. But then when we started asking players, they were hyped. They were super excited, because Paddletech is already known in the Paddletech community or the pickleball community. Like when they heard that Paddletech was coming to Omega, they got really, really excited.
Yeah, and one thing that helps as well, Dale, is like one of our sponsored players, he's probably one of the top 5 in the world right now, pickleball players, lives down in just south of Raleigh. So Adam Stone, he's sponsored by Paddletech. So having that local connection as well when it comes to the top players in the game being local, that obviously helps as well too, because they just associate, Paddletech with, Adam Stone being one of the top players in the game in our state.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and get Adam on the phone right now.
I don't have his number.
We'll make sure we get him on a future show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get him on a future show. All right. Well, Chris, we've got some great questions. I told you, as we continue to grow with our customers in this sport, and you're a huge, reason why we are able to grow. We also get a lot of questions, and some of them we are able to handle easily. But I did want to just put it out there for anyone who happens to be watching the show that may think, oh, I needed to know that, or, help me find, where I need to go to get these answers. So we've got some great customer questions. So if you'd like to go through a round of these questions, let's do it.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start with your hometown of Greensboro. Melissa in Greensboro says, and we talked a little bit about this, where can I easily find a pickleball court to play on, or do I just use a tennis court? Melissa, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your glory. This is like, let's act like this question never came up.
So when it comes to finding a pickleball court, the best way is go to the USA Pickleball page. So they are the governing body for pickleball, and they have what's called places to play. So pickleball ambassadors like myself, there's a couple of in the county, Deb Vincent. So we are actually ambassadors for pickleball to USA Pickleball, that we're the ones responsible for updating the places to play link on USA Pickleball. And if you go there, it'll tell you, how many courts that they're lit, hours of operations. Now I will say a lot of time it's outdated. So the easiest way to find what I found just traveling, say I'm down in Florida, I want to go play, is to find a local Facebook group. And when you want to find courts, hey, Plantation pickleball in Florida, where's the place to play? So that's the easiest way to find places. And if you want to go just hit around on tennis courts, you can, but just knowing that there will not be pickleball lines on it. It's just for tennis.
Yeah, we'll save the show for the tennis player versus the pickleball player for another show. That's another beef show I want to do. Yeah. I just want to give a quick shout out in our comments. We've got Don Kelly says, "Great job, Chris." I know you saw it on the screen, but I want to make sure that you saw Don's comment. In Seaton Plays joined us. She says, "I'm always looking for new ways to play." That's fantastic. Of course, she's got a huge audience that is all about encouraging people, something I love, to eat and play.
Absolutely.
So go eat some pizza, go play some pickleball. Go have a dirty martini, go play some pickleball.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. So thanks for watching. So yeah, so I think the key here is, you said it before, it's a social game. Definitely check out your Facebook pages. We're going to continue at Omega Sports. If you're in any of our markets where we have our Omega Sports in our communities, definitely we need to know where those places are. And we'll use Chris as a great advocate to help us connect folks. But the nice thing is, Chris, they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like every time I go into a new meeting, everyone keeps telling me like, "Oh, did you hear that this club just opened up pickleball courts?" Or, "Oh, did you know that down the street they've got another pickleball, indoor facility?" I mean, they're popping up everywhere. And the nice thing is what I've learned now, which is really exciting, is that cities are now getting behind it, meaning that they're actually funding these types of recreational centers and courts, and because they know that the public needs them.
Absolutely. And, to be honest with you, it takes most of the time that's happening is somebody locally, like Tracy Taylor, for example. She commented on, what's going on here, but Tracy's a friend out of Raleigh, and she's getting ready to build 14 courts through the city of Durham. In Durham, she just raised $11,000 for lights running a charity tournament.
Yeah.
So it's taking people like that, people in different, Bob and Charlotte, all these different people that absolutely love the game to grow it. And they're going to the cities, they're going to the Parks and Rec, councilmen, city, counties, whatever it may be, and just essentially begging. How do we repurpose these? And it's, the cities and counties are finally going, wow, they're seeing the demand. And you go out to Burnmill Park, for example, we just built 10 courts a couple of weeks ago. I was out there Friday morning at 7:30, and there's 30 people already out there at 7:45.
Yeah.
So and the counties are seeing it. The counties are seeing how many people are involved and how many people are picking up the sport. They're realizing they have to do something to keep up with the demand.
Yeah. I mean, how exciting is this? Can you imagine being a part of a sport like football or baseball or golf when it was just kind of like a thing that people did, and then slowly the field started to happen, slowly if you build it, they will come started to happen. I mean, you're on the front end of a dominating new sport. Don made a great comment. Omega's demo program is a great way to try out paddles at a very reasonable price. Now, Don obviously is an expert because he didn't call them rackets like I accidentally did one time, and people continue to keep bringing that up.
Actually, Don was out there this morning at 10 o'clock playing in the rain. So,
awesome.
Don's a hard. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not very safe, but Don in a group, I think it was 5 or 6 gentlemen out there this morning at Burnmill whacking it away while it was raining. So
I love it. Well, Don, we'll do whatever it takes to keep you geared up and safe. So definitely make sure you continue to keep shopping your neighborhood sports store. All right, let's go to Sam from Durham. Got a great question here. How do you look, or what should you look for in selecting a paddle?
So
that's a good question, because again, do you go by just what looks good in your hand?
I would say the biggest thing is feel, right? Just how does it feel in your hand? Because when you're beginning the game, you're not really going to know, how much power do I need? How much feel do I want? How much touch? How big of a sweet spot? So the biggest thing is how it feels in your hand, and then the weight of it. Like, so Paddle Tech paddles, they range from 7 ounces up to 8.6. And it may not sound like a big deal, but when you start playing the game for a little bit, 7.4 to 7.8 ounces or something, 4 ounce difference, you can tell a huge difference. Some paddles, the weight could be top heavy, meaning there's more weight at the top of the paddle. Some that have more weight in the grip. So really the weight of it, really look at the weight of it. A lot of older people that play it like the lighter paddles, like the TS5, that 7 ounces at 7.5. So really the weight of it and how it feels in your hand is what I would really, really focus on to begin with.
Yeah, and then there's a shape of the actual paddle that sometimes I think, whether it's a preference or what, I don't know if it really changes the game. I can tell you I went from different shapes. It didn't improve my game either way, but I liked one paddle that seemed to be the bigger paddle versus the one that looked like it was smaller. And maybe it was a weight difference, but it definitely felt like I was thinking I'd have more surface area, but I don't think that improved my game.
Yeah. So the thing with paddles, and I don't know exact number. Apologize. I think it's like 18.75. Like the total square inch can only be a certain amount, but it can be as wide or as long as you want, as long as it's within, the square inches are the same. So you will see some longer, skinnier vice, more of a round square paddle.
Yeah, that's what I think I switched over to. Well, and so again, just to reiterate, Don, that's a great comment. If you are in the market for a paddle, if you're looking to try to get that right feel, you don't have to just put your money down and then go and suffer and try to make it work. You can try our demos. We actually encourage that. We want you to play and explore and figure out which paddles are the best ones for you. And we've got a great demo program, thanks to great brands like Paddle Tech that allow us to be able to do things like that.
I cannot stress enough how much I recommend trying a paddle before you buy it.
Yeah.
That goes, grab 1, 2 paddles, 3 paddles, whatever you need, go try them out and figure out which one you like the best, because again, it's like what cheese do you like the best? Well, it's all your personal preference.
Yeah, try it on. I mean, I know one of the reoccurring themes about pickleball is the fact that it's very affordable. Mm-hmm. So we're not saying don't buy it because it's so expensive. We're just saying go try it out, because a bad paddle experience might make you think that the game is not really as exciting as it possibly could be. So definitely we welcome people to just go ahead and demo opportunities. And if you know what paddle you want, you can certainly shop during Labor Day weekend, because we got some great opportunities. All right, let's jump to Kara from Raleigh. We've got a question from Kara. Kara says, can you help explain the rules or direct me to a place where I can find them? I will tell you, we have gotten a lot of questions. We ourselves at the leadership table have asked, do we need to provide rules? Because a lot of folks get a little confused with the rules, maybe because they're thinking tennis, maybe because they're thinking ping pong. We all come with a preconception of what we think the rules are. And then, of course, that family in Washington State that on a weekend decided to create this game, made a really interesting set of rules.
So a couple of things. One, can I explain the rules? I could, but we only have a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
My beginners clinics last 75 minutes, and I still can't get it all in time. So the best way that when I learned is literally YouTube, like how to play pickleball. Watch a YouTube video. There's a lot of content out there. USA Pickleball, right? Again, if you go to USA Pickleball, the top left, I think the first top left drop down, it'll say official rules or how to play. So it'll really break it down to the basics. So that's where I would start, and then go on a court and actually try it, because it's hard to, letting the ball bounce here, not letting it bounce here. It's really confusing to actually try it. But I highly recommend just going to YouTube, how to play pickleball. It is exactly what I did.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I will say, Kara, one of the things that I would hone in on is the kitchen. There's a whole kitchen scenario that you have to, that's the one thing that I think trips up a lot of people. I'm not just calling myself out, but that the whole in the kitchen moment is something that can be a little tricky, because you think you're supposed to do it one way and actually you shouldn't do it that way.
Here's a great piece of advice for that. So people that are learning, right, they always get taught the kitchen. If you can tell yourself to begin with, it's actually called the non-volley zone, right? So the slang term is kitchen, but the actual term is the NVZ, or non-volley zone. Meaning I can't volley it out of the air while I'm in that area. So people can go in there with that instead of just calling it the kitchen. It's a little bit easier to understand just saying I can't go in the kitchen.
That is a pro tip. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to rewrite all the stuff that we had for tips, because we have a lot of content coming out. And I think that is a great way to look at it. We absolutely need to just call it what it is, because that whole kitchen thing is nope, you're in the kitchen. Oh, you can't do that in the kitchen. Can get a little confusing.
Absolutely. Yep.
And absolutely. I'm just when I'm in the kitchen, I just want a sandwich. Can we just move on? Yeah. We've got some good comments here. I want to say Tracy says, does Omega Sports carry actual indoor and outdoor pickleball shoes, and what brands? Fantastic question, Tracy. And I will be calling our head of buying to make sure that you know the answer to that. I will say we are in the process of bringing in actual pickleball footwear. I don't know if we have anything currently in store right now that's
We do.
specific to pickleball. Oh, we do? Okay, tell me
Mhm.
more, Chris. Tell me more.
So when it comes to pickleball shoes, primarily people are using court shoes, like
Correct.
tennis court shoes. So they can be universal. The biggest thing I'll tell people is make sure you're actually getting a court shoe and not a running shoe. That's the big difference. Whether it's a pickleball or a tennis shoe, it doesn't matter. They're built the same way. I know we at Omega we do have Prince in there. That's a pickleball shoe. Babolat's in there. K-Swiss. What else do we have?
Asics.
Asics. Yeah. So yeah, there's multiple different brands in there. And for indoor shoes, I know she's asking about that. I actually saw when I was in a store last week, there are some indoor volleyball shoes. So depending on the surface you're playing on, like for indoors, if I'm playing on a basketball court, I use volleyball shoes, which Omega does have in stock.
Yep. I will tell you. So Tracy, thank you, Chris, for taking that. Because I will say our in-store experience is usually referring to our tennis shoe department and or our volleyball shoe department, depending on where you're playing pickleball. But I will tell you, those fantastic silver sneakers folks over at Prolific have continuously sent more and more suggestions for products. And every time I see them, even in a restaurant, they will make very, very pointed suggestions on footwear that they want. And so we are working through the actual request of carrying some pickleball footwear. So more to come, Tracy. But yes, definitely Omega can still help you with your indoor and outdoor needs, whether it is with brands that you know and love that are great for tennis courts and or volleyball courts. I see Cleo has a comment in here. It says, I thought that was such a funny term for that area. That she must be talking about the kitchen. Because I tell you what, we were on the side every time we played. We were like, this darn kitchen gets us every time. All right, well, let's go to a city that I know, Chris, you know, is blowing up right now with pickleball, and that's Wilmington. I mean, Wilmington, you know, racket sports and paddle sports are blowing up in Wilmington. And Frances has a great question. And she said, obviously, someone who is competitive like you, Chris, wants to take this pickleball passion seriously. She wants to know, where can I find a pickleball coach? Is there such a thing? And of course, the answer is
absolutely. Yes, there is. So one is going through the PPR, which is USA Pickleball's professional pickleball registry. You can go find a coach there. So you will find certified people on there, or the ITPTA, I think it's called. I'm not a member of that one. I'm the PPR certified professional. So you go to either one of those sites. I will tell you, just answering Francis's question, you know, go to House of Pickleball, the Hop. Jesse Simon, he's the head pro there at the Hop. He's also a sponsored Paddletech player as well, and a certified pro. So being in Wilmington, highly recommend going to the Hop and seeing Jesse for all your needs. And yes, in Wilmington, it is actually the amount of people they have playing in Leland, which I think is just outside of Wilmington, is like 3,000 pickleball players just in Leland.
Yeah,
which is crazy. So and that was as of a couple of years ago. It's absolutely, you know, pickleball's huge down there. I mean, I got a buddy of mine that drives down there once a week just to play.
Yeah, so we'll give you and also like a little teaser. We're going to be having some pickleball events throughout all of our cities, but of course, Wilmington's going to be at the top of that list. So Francis, be on the lookout. Tell all your pickleball buddies, friends, competitors, you know, the ones that you hate that you want to just tear them up on the court. Tell them, because we're coming. All right. Last question is Mary from Greensboro. What are some essentials you need to start playing pickleball? I think this is a great question, because obviously as a retailer, we want to sell you everything. But I think what Omega does really well is we don't oversell. We want to make sure that you get the essentials. So Chris, what would you say would be, you know, for someone who wants to start playing pickleball, what do you need?
You really need three things. You need a paddle, you need balls, and then a pair of comfortable shoes. You know, like I said, highly recommend court shoes, because the running shoes are just, you know, run is made, you know, for this motion, not the lateral movement, which tennis shoes are. But I would highly, you know, I give a class once or twice a week in Greensboro at Burr Mill for beginners, provide them with Paddletech, you know, paddles to use, balls, come out and give it a shot. You know, if you like it, go to Omega, you know, we have everything for you there as well. So yeah, that's all you need. And that's the great part about the game, is once you get that stuff, there's nothing else you need.
Yeah. I mean, you can always upgrade. You can always, you know, get flashy and try different things and get a nice little paddle bag. You know, there's all those types of things, but really just to start, the essentials are a paddle, some balls. And I love that you talk about shoes, because of course at Omega, we really want to make sure people are absolutely in the right shoes. And you made a great point. As much as we are known for running shoes, we definitely want people in a different section of our store when they're talking about things like tennis or pickleball or volleyball, because we really want to make sure that they're protected and they're comfortable and that they perform. If you're in a tennis shoe, you're absolutely right. It's a different motion. It's not what you need. The idea that, like, I grew up, every shoe was a tennis shoe, right? But it really
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Running shoes are running shoes and tennis shoes are tennis shoes.
That's why I call them court shoes now, which I never thought in my entire life I would. Always tennis shoes are tennis shoes, but no, it's a court shoe, running shoe. There's a difference.
That's right. That's right. All right. Tracy says, thanks. Great answer, boys. All right. We got a good one there.
Perfect.
Yep, absolutely. And Tracy, thank you for what you're doing in your city to grow the game of pickleball. It sounds like you're doing some amazing things. Feel free to reach out to Omega Sports if there's anything that we can do to help continue that growth, or as you continue to expand. We'd love to hear more about what you have planned. We, of course, are in the Triangle. We're in the North Hill store, but we're also online everywhere. So anything that we can do to help grow the sport, we are all about it. Chris, I want to thank you for sharing your time with us, sharing some great knowledge, taking the kitchen out of our head and putting in the no volley zone is going to change my game forever. And I hope it changes everyone's game forever.
I hope it did.
Yeah. And of course, all the other great information that you provided as well. We love this game. Again, I'm excited because it does feel like we're on still the beginning stages of like total domination of a sport. And so we're super excited, and it keeps coming up every single meeting. We're talking about what do we need to do to expand and grow pickleball. And you've been a big player, a big part of that. And so I just want to thank you for spending the time, and we'll have many, many more opportunities to do podcasts and more shows and demos and actual live events with you as well.
Perfect. If I just say one last thing, Dale, if you're in the Greensboro area, visit CarolinaTennisandPaddle.com. That is the 10 courts out of Burr Mill. If you're interested in the game, we have $10 a class to come learn how to play pickleball for an hour and 15 minutes, and we're doing them all the time. So if you're interested in pickleball and you're not currently playing and you're in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area, check out CarolinaTennisandPaddle.com, and we can get you started.
Yep, great. That was the link I was trying to get it earlier in the show.
Perfect.
I'm glad you closed with it, because I put up another link and I was like, I hope that's the right one. Yep. And I know we're sponsoring some of those events. So again, if anyone's out there and they want to learn about pickleball, we've got demos. Come to your neighborhood sports store. We've got great partnerships out there. We definitely want people out there moving and playing more. So we couldn't think of a better sport to really get behind. Thank you again, Chris, for your time. And thanks everyone for watching and chiming in today.
Thanks, Dale. Appreciate it.
You have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care, sir.
Good job. All right, guys. Well, I'm telling you, if you haven't played pickleball, get to an Omega Sports, get to your neighborhood sports store, get a demo paddle, talk to anyone in the store. And I'll promise you probably already know 7 people that play pickleball. And you'll get out there on the courts and you'll have a good time. I'm Del with Omega Sports. I want to thank you guys for watching. It is Labor Day weekend. Make sure you're checking your emails. I promise you, we put together something really special for you this weekend, starting today. Check your emails. Enjoy. Be safe out there. Whatever you're doing, if you're moving more and you're running more and you're playing more, all we ask is that you stay safe. We're going to keep you safe when you come to our store. So keep yourself safe as you're celebrating the holiday. Have a good one.